So welcome to the latest episode of Project 39, in which I try to return under 40 minutes for the 10k road distance. So this week, Knutsford 10k in Cheshire. So the Knutsford 10k, a race we did last year. I raced last week at the Redcar 10k, so as regards this week, there are only good outcomes. I might run a little bit faster than last week, happy days. I might run a little bit slower than last week, in which case I've got a good solid 10k training run. Lovely conditions, lovely course, really looking forward to this one. So as of this time last week I wasn't doing this race, but a last minute transfer entry came up and I grabbed it with both hands. I set up my watch to have a session of 10 times 1k like I had last week with 0 recoveries, warmed up and felt really positive and fresh going to the start line of the Knutsford 10k. Last week I recorded 4:21:06, my fastest 10k time for 7 years. Could I go even better this week?
Are you not ready to get ready to go running at 9:30? Yes, good. Because we will be going in 9 minutes. Right hand in the air, gives a big wave and a massive cheer. So countdown of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off you go.
Narrow start, took me 25 seconds to cross the start line, but as it's chip to chip timing, absolutely no worries and a nice steady start to the race. And as you'll see as the race footage unfolds, there was no congestion out on the course. So we're off on the Knutsford 10k, looking to improve on last week's 41:06. So we start by running out of, I think it's called Radbrook Hall. It belongs to Barclays, who sponsor the race and allow their headquarters to be used as the race headquarters. And after a short section exiting the hall grounds, we're left and out on to the country lanes in the Knutsford area. So by reputation, this is a very fast course. I had run it last year, felt a bit heavy legged, not done myself justice, but Dawn actually ran last year and ran her fastest 10k time for several years and qualified for the England Masters over the 10k distance. So we knew with good conditions and feeling positive and fresh at the start, I could be in for a good day. But the big goal was just to enjoy running in this lovely race. And there's the eventual winner, Johnny Mellor, going past in 29:44, I think he won it. And there's Dawn filming the rest of the runners coming through the field. I think there were nearly 2,000 runners taking part today. Normally they have a few more, but restrictions at the race headquarters mean they cut the entry limit for this particular year. But I'd certainly recommend, you can see the paces there going past. That paces at all different distances. I think this is the 40-minute pace it is going past. And then I'm tucked in nicely between the 40 and the 42-minute pacer, looking, as I said, to beat 41 minutes on this occasion. Set off feeling very positive, very strong. As you can see, there's no congestion on the road, but we're not even 1k into the race.
Enjoy, John!
Enjoy, John. I certainly will. A flat road 10k in perfect conditions when I'm feeling fresh. I think this is going to be a day of enjoyment. So to break 41 minutes, I needed to run at about 4:06 per kilometre, or in old money I think it's about 6:35 minute miling. The first few kilometres of this race is a very slight climb that you can't really tell when you're running. So past the 1 kilometre mark there in 4:07, 1 second off target, but I do know that the second half of this course you do come down a bit, so nothing to worry about at the minute. Really enjoy my race so far. So this course is an ideal mix for me of quiet country lanes like you can see now, and the odd village and pocket of support. I do like just to zone in on what I'm doing, but I do like the odd distraction along the way, and there are a few to be had at the Knutsford 10k. If you've watched a few of my race vlogs, you'll know I'm a big fan of the club organised 10k. Now this wasn't organised by a club, it's organised by Run Northwest, who also organise 10ks in Wilmslow and throughout the Northwest area, as the name suggests, but they are really a company with runners at the heart. I know some of the people who are leading lights in Run Northwest, who are club runners through and through, so it really is done with runners in mind. Just through the 2 kilometre marker now, 4:09 for that one. Remember my target is 4:06 per kilometre, so 3 seconds down there, but I'm not really worried. As I said at the beginning, I'm either going to have a really good solid training run or I'm going to hit my target. Nice bit of shelter here, as you can see as well. There was a little bit of breeze on the day, but you really didn't feel it out on the course, so really set up for fast road running. Just got a school coming up on our left and a war memorial where we're about to swing a left, and I looked at the school name and it was called PoV Superior, so not a name you come across every day. Anyway, back to the race. Yeah, the war memorial there on the right, and then we swing and into another long straight flat bit of road. Constantly checking my watch because, as I said, I've got it set up as a session of 10 times 1 kilometre with no rest. So when I look at my watch, each time I look, I can see that the kilometre I'm working in coming down and down. So it starts at 0.62, the next time I look at it, it might say 0.48, 0.33. It also tells me the average pace I'm doing for that kilometre. So I said earlier I needed to run about 6:35 pace. At the minute I'm seeing high 6:30s, low 6:40s. We're in kilometre 3. But I do know, as I said, that there's a slight climb in the first 3 or 4 kilometres of this race. So I'm not worried, I'm just monitoring that I'm there or thereabouts. And if I do have a strong finish, I still might be able to get under 41 minutes. So my concentration varies between how much I've got left on that particular kilometre, what pace I'm running that kilometre, and then the runners around me and the surroundings around me. So living my best life here, happy as anything, lots of numbers to look at, and a flat 10k to have a bash at a goal time. So as you can see, you're never isolated in this race. There's always people just in front of you, just behind, but there's also plenty of space on the wide lanes so you can run your own particular pace. So really enjoying this. It's set up for a good individual time trial, a race if you happen to know people. As it happened, I didn't really recognise anybody running because the Northwest isn't my area, I'm more Yorkshire based, so wasn't having any rivalry here. So just trying to focus on different runners and pick them off. Good look at my watch again. So that's how I'm navigating my way around the Knutsford 10k. And we pass through kilometre 3 in 4:11, 6:43 pace. I am now, I think, 8 seconds off my target pace. But in the words of Corporal Jones on Dad's Army, don't panic. I do know that the second half was a little bit of downhill. I didn't actually appreciate at the time quite how much climbing we were doing. We drove the course afterwards and I was surprised to see how much up elevation there was. You can't see it here. I didn't feel it at all when I was running. I just thought, oh well, it's just one of those days. I raced last week. Perhaps I'm not going to hit that sub 41 target today, but nevertheless, really enjoying the race, as you can see. Beautiful countryside in this part of Cheshire. Knutsford's a nice town to go and visit afterwards if you get the chance, if you want to do this race. And I would highly recommend this race to anybody looking for a flat, fast 10k with superb organisation all round. So in 10k terms, I like to think we've reached the end of the beginning. I like to divide the race up into 3 sections. The first one is the first 3 kilometres, where you're getting into pace, you're not setting off too slow like I maybe did last week, leaving yourself with a bit more to do, but you're not setting off too quick and ruining your race. The second part is the 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th kilometres, where you just have to focus. You're away from the end, but you're starting to hurt and you just have to tick off those individual kilometres. Like I said, I do that by, as you can see there, looking at my watch and just making sure that each individual kilometre is within the pace range that I want. And the final 3 kilometres is that push to the end. It's now not about controlling the pace, making sure it's right. It's about giving everything you've got and fingers crossed that the pace does stay within the right range. So that's how I tackle a 10k. Does anybody have any other strategies for working their way through a 10k or indeed any other race distance? Just going past an old chapel here on the right and some Edwardian looking villas also. The watch is telling me I'm picking up speed, but we'll wait until the 4th kilometre to get an actual time for that kilometre and see if I am getting closer to that sub 41 target. So there we go, just going by the kilometre marker now, 4:04, 6:34 pace. We've clawed back 2 seconds and we have the fastest bit of the course to come. In terms of heart rate, I'm now into the mid 180s. Now I reckon my max heart rate to be just under 200. So that puts us well into the 90% in terms of heart rate effort. Some people say they like to use a formula of 220 minus age. But seeing as that will give me a maximum heart rate of 166 and I'm currently working the mid 180s, you can see that's quite redundant for most people. To get your heart rate, I would just do plenty of races. If you do a 5k, I'd add on a notional perhaps 5 beats. If you're doing a 10k hard flat out like I am, I'd add on a notional 10 beats, and it's always worked for me over the years. Drink station here just before the 5k point. I don't take one. I very rarely would take a drink during a 10k, but well done to the organisers for putting one on for those that do. For the last kilometre the lane has narrowed slightly, but as you saw, plenty of space for overtake. We're just coming around the corner now up to 5k. We can see 3:57, we have clawed quite a lot back. In fact, I've just gone through 5k at 20:30, bang on 41-minute pace. So hopefully we are on for that sub 41 minutes, because I know that we have a few slightly descending kilometres coming up. Starting to pass quite a few people now. This is a little bit different to last week's race at the Zetland 10k in Redcar, in that on the way back, if you remember, there were only 2 athletes within sight of me, so I basically clung on to them, worked with them to get between 7 and 9k. Here there's a regular stream of runners to target and go past. I don't know any of them. There's nobody I'm particularly busting a gut to beat because they're a rival or known to me, so I'm just using people to get on the shoulder with, look at who's ahead of me, and then target the next person. Here we are through 6k, 3:59 pace. Obviously that is under 40-minute 10k pace, so doing well, clawing back that time, and hopefully on for a sub 41 at this stage. You can't take anything for granted, as I say. These are the middle kilometres you grind out, ticking each one off before hopefully a final big effort near the end. The camera gave out just before 7k, but you can see I went through in 4:01, clawing more time back and well on for that sub 41 and my fastest time since 2017. So well into kilometre 8 here, and this is the point, as I said earlier, you're no longer trying to control the pace, you're just throwing everything you have, trying to wring every last second out of your performance. And I keep looking at my watch, as you can see. So yeah, nothing more about just getting the pace right, it's about throwing it all in and making sure you leave nothing out there. Nice little group in front of me to try and pick 1 or 2 people off. It was nice to be told by the chap in the blue vest who just passed that he'd been watching video this morning and follows the channel, so hope you had a good run. You probably broke 41 minutes. If you are watching, let me know how you did. So yeah, a few runners ahead now, still trying to pick off the 1s and 2s as we move towards 8 kilometres. Our friend with the blue vest making another appearance again in a minute. It really is good at this stage of the race, as people are just pushing each other on, trying to get those few seconds over each other, and in reality we're just dragging each other around to the best possible time we can all get. So you can see the splits there for kilometre 8 and kilometre 9. It shows we've judged it just about right. We're still on sub 41 minute pace, quite close to 40-minute pace. It shows those early kilometres I was right not to panic, just to keep it controlled, and then we can have a nice strong run in. So just looking forward to seeing the 9 kilometre mark to tick over, and then completely emptying the tank. And also emptied the tank was my Insta360, as it stopped taking any footage, but we've managed to put together some footage that Dawn took of me coming into the finish, and some lovely photographs, some Mick Hall photos that were taken at the end of the race.
Come on, John! Come on, about 200 metres to go.
Thank you, yes, I'm aware of that fact, as I got one of those expensive sports watches that tells exactly how far you've run. So moving along nicely, just into the finish, a right hand turn, and then there's about a 100-yard sprint to the finish line. So here we are on that final straight, feeling strong, seeing the clock on 40 minutes, knowing I'm going to hit my target time, and yes, 40:35 on the chip, my fastest 10k time for 7 years. Knutsford, city limits.
How do you feel?
Like a rolling stone.
Unfortunately, you got beat by Johnny Mello the second time.
Again, he did me again. 2008 12 stage national road relays went breezing past me. He's a good one to watch, that Johnny Mello. So a little bit different to last week in terms of race execution, in that last week, because it was a little bit breezy along the seafront and there were 2 runners just in front, I had to get onto them for the last 2 and a bit K. Whereas today, as you've seen, I was around runners all the time. There's nobody I particularly knew who I thought, oh, there's a club mate, there's a rival. I just had to pick out random vests and think I'll try and get to that one next. So a little bonus clip here of what happens to my legs when I've run hard. Does this happen to anybody else? I think it's called fasciculation. So a fantastic start to Project 39. We've gone from 41.06 last week to 40.35 this week, and the next video in this series I'll be taking you through the 4 key things I'm going to do to find those extra 36 seconds to finally get myself back under 40 minutes for 10k. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see my progress towards 39 minutes for 10k and how Dawn gets on in England Masters at Chester next week, then please consider subscribing. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.